Welcome to the Mediacasters with your business besties, Karina Belizzi and Julie Loken. In every episode, you'll get behind-the-scenes access to experts who share their struggles and successes in podcasting, publishing, and presenting. So grab a pen, grab your bestie, and kick it with Karina and Jules.
All right, we're kicking it. Hi, Jules.
We're kicking it. And I feel like we are kicking it to someone that's amazing, doing amazing things. Also, as I just did some research, is the namesake of a Fleetwood Mac song called Rhiannon.
Hey, which we will get into because we're even going to talk a little bit about TikTok and going viral.
Wow.
Today, you are going to get to meet Rhiannon Menn. She is a mama, a chef, and an adventurer. She loves decaf coffee. I like mine with caffeine. Traveling and super fuzzy sweaters, which she unfortunately can no longer wear since she left New England and is living in the beautiful islands or on the beautiful islands of Hawaii.
Oh.
Now, this is the founder of Lasagna Love, and we're going to get to talk to her about what it took to take a grassroots community effort to a national stage and even go viral. So without further ado, let me bring her up to stage. What do you say, Jules?
Let's kick it.
Let's kick
it with Rhiannon.
Hi, Rhiannon.
There she is.
Friends. How are you?
Oh, if you're calling in from Maui, right?
You're so doing better.
Yeah, it is good weather here, but I hear it's good weather at least for you, Jules.
Yes, it is beautiful. It is in the 70s in Chicago. And what else? Oh, Rhiannon said she can sing. By the way, I just saw that. She can sing. And it is beautiful here. But most of the year, I am just wanting to be on Maui with you eating lasagna.
Open invitation. I'll cook for you any night you come here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you and I initially connected on when I brought you on for episode 10 of Care More Be Better was your love of cooking and getting your kids into the kitchen with you. Now, I think all of us have had more time at home this last few years, and that's part of the birth of your company. So talk to us about it. What got Lasagna Love started?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lasagna Love, I started in my kitchen. I say it was a giant accident. I love to cook. It's my happy place. My toddler, who was 3 at the time when COVID started, feels the same. And so when COVID began, we were living in San Diego and everything in California just shut down overnight. No, we didn't go out to grocery stores. The parks were closed. And I think I felt very helpless and very much like, what could I do to support, especially the other moms in my community, some of whom lost jobs early on, or were just really struggling with all of a sudden schools closed and they have kids at home and no childcare, and how do they balance all of that? And so I posted on a few moms groups on Facebook just saying, hey, like, I've got time. I like to cook. It helps me. It helps you. Like, let me make a meal for you. I'll drop it off to you contactless. And that first week, I had 7 moms who raised their hand and said, yeah, that would be great. And it just really went from there. And as you know, it went a little bit viral over the summer and fall, and we ended up now we have over 30,000 volunteers in 3 countries, all making lasagnas. We're almost to 1 million people fed. It's completely blown up, and I never expected that this would be where I would be sitting in 2022.
Are you just in so much shock? It was just a passion project with your toddler, and it became something more than you ever expected?
Yeah, I think shock would require me actually sitting back and registering what's happened. And I for some reason, I just sort of keep going forward. There always feels like there's more moms to help and more people to cook for and more people to feed. But when I force myself to sit and really think about the movement, as you said, Karina, that we've built, that the word that you used, I mean, it's a total shock of, how could this have come from just one simple act of kindness? And I think it just goes to show how many other people in the country and in the world are feeling the same way, that they want to help, they want to do something, they just don't know how, and they need that opportunity to be put in front of them to just take that first step. I'd be curious, does that feel familiar? Like, how did you guys feel at the beginning?
No.
Does that feel familiar?
It does not feel familiar. I mean, going viral and like starting a huge business, although I have a coaching business, and prior to starting the coaching business, I did a lot of my coaching online, and I would get the question, Zoom, is that okay? And once the pandemic hit, it was like boom, 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 boom. It was never a question and it
Yeah.
really did grow out of control exponentially. But I've never had viral recognition from social media as you have. And I think you were just meeting a need that was really people were yearning for that connection, even when
Yes.
we felt there was no connection at all.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
or
that's
even just thinking about all the young moms at home who are having to have babies in the midst of COVID and feeling
Wow.
isolated from
Did you
everybody
have
when that
one,
happened. Mhm.
Yeah,
Rhiannon?
I'm in that club. Yeah, I have a he just turned 1 about 3-4 days ago.
That must have been so strange just to have a
Yep.
baby and, like, your husband could come, I'm guessing, but nobody
He was
else?
allowed, no one else was, but everybody was in masks. No doulas, no third party, no, like it was a very different experience than my first 2.
Wow.
But yeah, I think you're right. People really yearning for that connection because we were all feeling very, very disconnected. And a lot of people, I think, flock to social media to fill that void, but it doesn't always do it. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's a positive way, but there's other paths people can go down on in social media. And this was a very positive, uplifting, empowering path that people on both the recipients and volunteers could both
Mhm.
really identify with and stick to. I think we wondered if once the pandemic was, air quotes, over, if people would still stay engaged, and we keep growing. So I think that it's not just, the desire for connection wasn't just COVID related. I think there's a
Mhm.
genuine desire to really like step out and support people who need it.
How did you know that you hit on some gold?
Oh, I don't know. I just, I mean, I think the first time I really realized was, this would have been September. I remember sitting in my car and I got a call from a producer, from the Today Show.
Oh,
He was
wow.
like, "Hey, like we're doing this Good Neighbor Day celebration. We're bringing on a bunch of people who are good neighbors. We're thinking you guys might be a good fit. Let's just chat about it." And my husband took a video of me sitting in our camper van in the parking lot, and my voice very calm and my body like, oh my God, what's happening right now? And I think that was when I realized that this wasn't just, I mean, yes, we had gotten a lot of volunteers and we had expanded to a few states, but it was really something bigger than that and something bigger than me and bigger than what I had ever sort of envisioned. And that's, I mean, that is what took us to the next level. Was we went from 500 to 5,000 volunteers in the span of a few weeks.
Was it meant to be a business? I'm sorry, Karina. I know I interrupted you.
No,
I
no,
have to
just
ask.
go
This
on.
is
I
so
know.
this
I've
is
already
so
had the
fascinating.
opportunity.
This
And
is
I think
so
that,
fascinating. Someone that is just doing good. You are a do-gooder, as Karina likes to say. But yeah, I mean, was there a ultimate plan? This
I
is
know,
what I'd
and I
love
think
to
that's
hear.
but that's part of, and people have asked me, how can you like put a framework around how to build a movement? And there are certain tactical steps that I can say, yes, like do this thing, then do this thing. But I think part of what resonated in part of why it became a movement was the authenticity behind it. I didn't start out wanting to found a nonprofit or a business. I just wanted to cook for people. And I think people saw themselves in that role. And I think if I had said, okay, like I'm going to incorporate, I'm going to get 501c3 status, and I'm going to start, making meals and putting advertisements, wouldn't have felt the same. And so I think movements have to be built on something genuine and authentic. And that's part of what gives it so much power, is that people see that and say, oh, like I see myself in that person, not just I want to do that thing.
Well,
Does that make sense? Or is that like crazy talk?
no, it makes sense. And if you're talking about
It's
something,
crazy and it makes sense.
Crazy and also makes sense.
but if you go from 500 volunteers to 5,000 overnight, that's growing tenfold. And you
Wow.
can't really plan for something like that, especially in your situation. But you
No.
did something really unique, I think, at that point in time, because often, especially in the world of not-for-profits, people just think, oh, well, I just need more volunteers. I need more of this. I need more of this. I need more of this. And that doesn't necessarily get you to a point where you're able to actually scale for growth, right?
Exactly.
So you reached out to people at MIT, some students at MIT, and said, help build me a matching tool so that I don't
Yeah.
have to do this all manually. Talk to
Yeah,
us about that. Like, whose idea was that? How did you get there?
sure. So I knew, so we were doing everything manually. I joke about it, but it's true. I built this on Google Sheets and Zapier. Like we had 500 volunteers, each with their own Google Sheet. We were using Google Maps every week to like to match people. And I mean, it was amazing that it scaled even to that degree, but it was definitely like on the tipping point of this is going to break sometime soon. And so we
Or it
just
will
knew
break
we needed
you
to.
trying to do it.
Yeah, also true. So I had to, and I am, I write about asking for help and accepting help. And we talk about the things that we've had to walk through ourselves. Right. So I am one of the worst people at asking for help when I need it. And that moment, I knew if we were going to be able to impact more people, I would need help to do it. And so we put a call out to our volunteers to say, hey, like who can step up into a leadership role? I can't match 500 volunteers by myself each week. And so that was one piece of it. And the other piece was, how do we replace this manual system? Like, what does that even look like? And I met somebody through a Facebook group. He ended up, we both actually went to MIT Sloan a few years apart, but he was still very connected to the Leaders in Global Operations program there. And so he reached out to some people in that department and said, I have an amazing action learning project. We need to build something that does this thing for this amazing organization. Who wants to raise their hand? And a group of students got really excited about it. And so they formed a team, and we spent the fall building an algorithm that basically has a whole bunch of different technical components, but basically says, okay, here's all the people who need lasagnas, and here's all the people who want to volunteer this week. How can we optimize and match the most people possible based on all of the different preferences for vegan, vegetarian, and how far do you want to drive, and how many do you want to make? And that, completely changed the way we were able to scale, where we could scale tenfold. Otherwise, we would have, there's no possible way we could have gotten to where we are today.
Right.
So the algorithm was one piece of it. And then we had another volunteer who raised his hand to build us an actual online portal that would house that algorithm and have tools for volunteers. So, it wasn't a Google sheet each week. Now every volunteer has their own portal that they log into that has their settings and their match information. So, I would say we're actually a very tech nonprofit more than anything. We're like a tech platform, even though it doesn't look like it from the outside.
So how many lasagnas now have been baked? I asked you this question over a year ago. So I'm like,
officially on the books, 215,000, I believe.
Wow.
Wow.
And then a bunch more through events. And then I swear every week I see hundreds of people posting saying I didn't get a match, so I cooked a lasagna for my neighbor, my friend, my mother, the fire station down the street. So there are so many that go unaccounted for, but officially 215,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm hungry right now, but I'm curious because you've had exponential growth. And I know that is one of the detractors for thriving businesses. So
Yeah.
many businesses fail because they grow too quickly.
Mhm.
And you've done it. What is your key to success, if you will?
I would say two things. The first, and I think the most important, is early on, build systems to replace yourself. So this came from, I learned this. I did a coaching course with a really fantastic guy named Tim Yewchuck. He does something called the perfect week, and he teaches you how do you take what you're doing and put it into a system so you don't have to do it every day. And this could be seriously something as simple as, a request comes into the inbox and we send them an automatic response saying, we'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours, right? Or it could be as complex as, now when somebody signs up to be a leader, we don't usually, there's a lot of paperwork around that. All of that is now automated through Zapier. So they fill out a form, it automatically sends them an NDA, it sends them our core values, it sends a notification to the right team. So all of that is happening in the background. And I don't have to be doing that anymore. If I had to still and if my team had to do all of that stuff, we wouldn't have time to think about, are we going to expand to the UK next or South Africa? Are we going to, all the big picture stuff, we would lose sight of that. And so whatever you're spending your time on, value your time highly. And if what you're spending your time on isn't high value, figure out a way to get it done automatically. There's a lot of really cool tools out there that can help you with that now. And I think the second thing is just around mindset. I've talked a lot about the throwing up your hands and this is fascinating and the art of possibility, but it's genuine. Every time I hit a roadblock, I could have been stopped. And there were so many roadblocks early on. And instead of saying, this is really hard, I'm going to go nap on the couch or just give up. It was, this is fascinating. This is amazing. This is this great challenge. How do we see this as an opportunity? What can we learn from this? How can we use this to grow and do better and feed more people?
Oh my God. I know. I was thinking, Karina, I was like, Karina, like all this advice, we need to replicate ourselves.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the art of automations and using automation to do
Well, I mean,
the
we're
things
talking
that
about
we
that
can't
even
do.
Well,
for
and
the
it's gotten so
matching
much
piece.
easier now that like it used to, you used to have to be a developer to do this. And now there's
Mhm.
so many tools out there that like, I never took a computer science course and I still can figure it out. Right.
And Zapier connects to so many different web
Mhm.
platforms, so you can do a lot with it.
I don't even know Zapier, so can you tell me what Zapier is? I mean, I've seen it,
Yeah. No,
and I know I should, but I'm just
shout
gonna
out to
ask. I'm
Carly,
gonna be
she's
that
awesome.
person that asks.
I think it's called, and like this is again, like you'll be able to tell that I'm not a tech person. I think it's called a no-code platform or a low-code platform, but you basically can take any app that you use in the world. So say like you use WooCommerce for your online store, or you use Google Sheets to like save information, or you use DonorBox for donations if you're a nonprofit, whatever it is, you can take one app and like use information from it to tell another app to do something. So I can say, oh, okay, I just got this order from WooCommerce. Fantastic. I'm going to drop in that order information into a Google Sheet. I'm also going to have it automatically send an email to my e-commerce manager telling her to ship the stuff. I'm also going to have it automatically like do this profit calculation. So I know if like this item is doing well in the store, and I'm going to let like the customer support team know if there's an issue with this person's credit card or something's on back order. Right? That used to be somebody logging in and like looking at every order and saying, okay, like what do I do with this one? But now it literally happens without anybody thinking about it.
Right. I mean, we could use the example of the network we run, the Mighty Networks. And when we go up a tier, Jules, then we can actually have Zapier
Oh.
do half the stuff that we already
When we do
manually
that.
do. Because
Get on it, yeah.
it's one of the reasons to consider doing that. Like we're at the base package, right? But the moment we go up, then we can start to offer courses through the platform, and we can integrate with Zapier and do a lot of other neat little bells and whistles things. But what we've talked about so far really does have to do with being able to scale quickly, right? But
Mhm.
also the fact that you have essentially been able to leverage this going viral to go through media and to do things like speak with
Wow.
the Today Show or go on NBC and all of that. So I'd love for you to talk about your perspective of what it took to get there and what it was like for you starting out as someone who hadn't interfaced with media in this way before.
Yeah, so much to say here. Let's see where I start. So in terms of, I would say the how to actually get connected to those places is, I wish there was a magic formula. We were lucky enough that we had volunteers who worked in PR. Like we have one woman, amazing woman, Wendy, who has her own PR firm and just really fell in love with our mission and was like, I will contact everybody for you. And
That's
then
how we got
actually,
connected.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know Wendy. And so, when you have somebody like that behind you who just truly believes in what you're doing, who's willing to make those connections, that's like we couldn't, there's no value. Like I can't even place a value on what she's been able to do for us. But not everybody has a Wendy, not everybody can afford a PR firm. So, I mean, we have an outreach director who's a volunteer, and she just cold emails random people, like anybody. You're like, hey, like, I want to sing Humble and Kind with Tim McGraw for World Kindness Day. And she's like, all right, I'm gonna find his email, right? Like it's just really, it's the grit and the hustle of just tracking down the right people in the organization through LinkedIn or, whatever tools you have, and just like being okay making the ask and hearing a lot of no's, and that's totally fine. Because eventually you're going to get a yes, and that yes could be the thing that breaks you through. And maybe you have to send 100 emails and you get one response, but those 100 emails were worth it because that one person can really put you on the map. That's I guess the biggest thing. In terms of how to get prepared, it's just practice. If I look back at my first couple interviews, that like the local news stations, I'm like, who is that person? Who trained her, right? But just as you'll just get better at it. You get used to like, what's your story? What are the things that are important to you? And I spent a lot of time, I still do spend a lot of time writing. Try and write like, what's going on in Lasagna Love? What am I feeling? What are our core values? How did we get here? And the more I can process that for myself, the more I can share it with people who maybe might find that information really, really helpful or valuable. But articulating it for yourself is, I think, really a really important step.
Okay. And then I wanted to lead into one other topic that I think is going to be on everybody's minds, but that is what it takes to really get attention on TikTok. And before we started this conversation today, I got an email from your team saying that you had really big news to share. And
Oh,
so why don't you just
tell
share that news with
us.
us, and then we can dive into how this exactly works.
How big of news
I'm
can this be?
I'm going to
Gotta
caveat
be
this
big.
by saying I would not, I am by no means a TikTok. I'm not that person. So I'll share what we did and what I do know, but there are better people out there to talk about TikTok and going viral. But so the exciting news is we found out a couple weeks ago that we won a $100,000 grant because of a TikTok video we put together, which is still bananas to me. The grant was from KFC. They were doing a giving challenge and looking for nonprofits in the food insecurity space to make TikTok videos. And then they picked 12 finalists, and they all went to a public vote, and whoever got the most votes won. And we have an amazing volunteer base and a bunch of recipients who really love us. And so we won the grand prize, which I made a KFC inspired lasagna as a thank you to KFC, which we can talk about later. But TikTok is a hard one. TikTok is a hard one to crack because it's so different from the platforms that we're used to. But I can't even say the video went viral. We just got really lucky that we put together good content, and we had a lot of people on like 5 or 6 people, which for our volunteer bases who aren't on TikTok, like getting 5 or 6 people to all post on one for one challenge and one hashtag is a lot. And we just put together these really cute clips and use the music. And I think the what's gotten us visibility on TikTok is partnering with influencers who are already really big on there. And so, there's one woman, I think her name is Jessica Wu, who posted about us back in December as part of a campaign with LG. And we still get people who are following us and coming to us because they really loved her video. She was really authentic. And she has a really big and really engaged and really dedicated followership. And so, if you're trying to break into the TikTok market, I would say find somebody who's doing it well, who likes what you're doing, and see if they're willing to just like give you a shout out or talk about what you're doing. And that's what gets people to come to see you.
I think that's great advice. I mean, the reality is we all want to, I think, be seen more than we are in the daily. And I'm personally just getting my start on TikTok. And I did interview somebody who's doing a lot more there. And they're saying, oh, we post 3 to 5 videos a day, because posting 3 to 5 videos a day tends to be what it takes to emerge on that platform. So I just am curious for you, like, are you personally taking a walk into this space? Because I know you also run your own Instagram with Be Good to Mama, among other things.
I'm not, to be honest. I think there are so many social media platforms out there now that I think it's actually really important to know what to say no to. And this is for business and strategy in general. Is, I am one person. I can't be on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. Like I would lose my mind, or I'd have to pay somebody full time or multiple people. And so, when we started on TikTok back in the fall, the only reason we got on it was because, we did this campaign with LG, and a lot of the influencers that they wanted to use were on TikTok. And we said, okay, cool, we'll give it a shot and see if our people are there. Our people aren't. Like, we've gotten some followers, but the number of followers and volunteers that we've gotten even through YouTube and Facebook and Instagram just blows away what we've gotten. And we had big influencers, really big influencers posting about us on TikTok, and we got a couple people, and that was wonderful, and we're super grateful for that. But it's just not where we're going to get volunteers from. It doesn't matter how many sort of videos we make. So it's a place that we post every once in a while to keep our people there engaged, and random things like this, KFC giving challenge. Like, I'll be on TikTok for $100,000. That sounds great. But I think we have to focus our energy to where we're going to get the most impact, and that for us is more Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even a little bit of Pinterest.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Facebook groups too, right? Like, you have a lot of Facebook groups that are being run that are regional.
Yep. And so that takes I mean, that takes effort more on the part of our local leaders, but I would say it's totally okay to say no to a platform if you try it and just it doesn't feel good for you, or it takes too much time, or you're just not getting the response that you want, even if it's the exciting and sexy and new platform.
Exciting and sexy and new. I mean, we all love to chase those shiny objects, but I've always been of the ilk that social media, we don't own that land. It is more about our website and our
Mhm.
email. And I think you've kind of
Email
proven me
lists.
wrong. I don't know. I mean, I know that you have a duality in terms of harnessing volunteers as well as growing the phenomenon that is Lasagna Love. But, is it a dash of luck? Is it a sprinkle of good fortune? Is it a cup of, je ne sais quoi? See, I'm doing my French again for Karina because she speaks French. Je ne sais quoi? It's the something special. Because I feel like it's a roll of the dice with social media, but
Yeah.
you are doing it right, but you are doing it with purpose.
Yeah, and I think it's, we were born on Facebook, right? Like this Lasagna Love wouldn't exist if it weren't for Facebook groups. Like that's how that's where I was posting, and so that's organically just kind of how we grew, was volunteer leaders then posting in their Facebook groups because we knew it worked. And so because so many of our volunteers reached us through Facebook, I mean, it's just kind of, it's a self-perpetuating cycle, right? But, I think if we were a movement born somewhere else, it would be a very different story.
So you got $100,000 from Kentucky Fried Chicken. What strings are attached to that, if any?
None. So, I mean, it's program spending, which is all we really do, most of what we do anyway. So, but yeah, I mean, it's unrestricted funding is hard to come by, and it's glorious when you do.
Wow.
It's like, all right,
you're like the golden child there. That's amazing.
It's also, I mean, it's not repeatable, right? Like I can't count on that every year. But
I don't know.
It certainly helps for this year. And if you haven't, so we put out speaking of social media platforms, we just got on YouTube like maybe a couple months ago as a way to diversify revenue streams, which as a nonprofit, I think is especially important because you're so reliant on donors. And so we put together most of our videos, we made like a matzo lasagna for Passover, and, green lasagna roll-ups for St. Patrick's Day. And they've gotten, a couple hundred views, but the KFC inspired lasagna hit 10,000 views in a day. So I think we found our niche is lasagnas made out of unexpected lasagna ingredients.
Or fast food. So you're tying into something that I think is just fun because people like these little mashups, so to speak. So you're doing something interesting and fun. Now, Rhiannon, the first TikTok video that I knew to go viral was that ocean spray one where the gentleman was like riding the skateboard.
I know this. I know this one.
You have to go look it up now.
Yeah, well, I brought it up because it was a Fleetwood Mac song, and it turns out, Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac.
And were your parents Fleetwood Mac fans, Rhiannon?
They were. So I have heard two stories, and to this day, I'm not sure which is true. So when I was a kid, my mom used to tell me that she really liked the history behind the song. So Rhiannon was written about. She was a Welsh princess from mythology who was falsely accused of being a witch and sentenced to death. And it turns out her midwives framed her, and her prince figures out the plot and rescues her, and happy ending. But my family goes back to the Salem Witch Trials, and my mom really liked the parallelism between the story of Rhiannon, the falsely accused witch, and then Giles Corey, the falsely accused witch in our ancestry. And so she was like, yeah, I just really liked that, and gave you the name. And then my now husband asked her a few years ago, oh, so yeah, Rhiannon. She's like, yeah, we just really like the song. The whole backstory.
Yeah, the first story was way more compelling. And
right?
You look like a Rhiannon, though. I was going to say, like, they did good.
Oh, what do Rhiannons look like? I'm just curious.
I see like an Irish princess, something like that.
Oh, I'll take it. All right.
That's amazing. I mean, you've had luck from the moment you were born, just being who you are. And this is a story to inspire everyone that is listening, because everyone hopes and dreams. But I know you are doing such good. You're changing people's lives. I think everybody wants to know, what is your recipe for lasagna? Like, what is the recipe, the go-to recipe?
besides love is the main ingredient?
Love. Oh, I love that. Of
No,
course it is.
it feels if you cook with intention, it tastes different on the other end.
I don't know, Rhiannon. Like I try that. It just doesn't work in my house.
Okay, fair.
I've tried. But my family loves. I told Karina before we got on, I was gonna tell you my secret ingredient for lasagna
Yeah.
because my whole family loves it. I put a lot of sugar in it. I put a lot of sugar in the ricotta, and
Oh,
it cuts
interesting.
like
I'd have
the
to try that.
acidity
Acidity? I
of
believe
the
that.
tomato. And
Okay.
that's the one thing. That's maybe the only thing my kids like to eat that I make. Otherwise, they're like,
Right.
"Oh,
I'll test it out next time.
she's
My
cooking
secret
them."
ingredient is actually it's shredded zucchini and
Oh,
yellow
wow.
squash. So I grate it up and I mix it in with the mozzarella cheese to make it. 'Cause
Wow, that's almost
comfort food, but it's
healthy.
not the healthiest, right? So I feel like it gives it a little kick of nutrition especially for kids who are veggie
Can you
picky.
tell it? Can you
You
taste
can't
it?
tell. No. And that's why it's beautiful. It like melts
And
in with
it's
the
just
cheese.
more
Really?
fiber and
Really
it's really
thinly.
good.
Yeah, like I just grate it like on I mean, now I use a Cuisinart because if you're making 10 at once, you can't really hand grate that.
Wow.
Yeah, it works really well. You can do it in quesadillas too. Just grate carrot, probably not carrots; they're a little thick unless you sautéed them. But yeah, grate zucchini or squash or like a soft vegetable and mix it in with the cheese, and
Yum.
your kids are like, "This is great."
You're like, ha ha ha, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I have 4 boys and Karina has 2 boys. Is there any way we could get one of your recipes and put it in the show notes? Or
Oh my
no?
gosh,
Are
yeah.
they secret?
Totally. No, are you kidding? It's
Okay.
like I would
Would that be fun, Karina?
happily
Like,
share my
I think
recipe.
we have to put the KFC one in the show notes too.
yeah, my kids
because-
would definitely like the KFC lasagna.
So the credit for that recipe goes to we have a lasagna chef in Georgia, Chase Tadaro, who owns a catering company, and we called him the day we found out about the grant. We called him that night and we're like, Chase, like we need a KFC lasagna recipe for tomorrow for our Facebook Live. And he like left his dinner party and was looking at the menu online, and he's amazing. So
That's so fun.
That's how I can't take credit for the recipe, but I can take credit for the video and for
Wow.
going to KFC that night.
Are you so excited about your life? I'm so excited about your life. Like this is
Oh.
so amazing.
Aw,
Really.
Thank you. I'm really excited. I feel like I finally found my purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that makes this doesn't feel like work because my purpose is just helping as many people as possible. And if I'm doing that every day, it just feels like I'm, feels wonderful.
And now you get to come on podcasts and just talk about what you're doing for
The
fun.
media casters. And
Which
hang
is
out with
great.
us.
Yeah. And you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can we come to Maui and visit you?
Anytime.
And we'll
you
help
want.
you. We'll pass out lasagnas. We'll cook lasagnas.
Yeah. That's the only
We'll hang out on
condition.
the beach and we'll have Mai Tais, right, Karina?
Open invitation.
Yeah, some Mai Tai lasagna mix. I
Oh
wonder what
my
that Mai Tai
gosh.
would taste
All right,
like.
Karina, that'll be our next, a Mai Tai lasagna.
A
I
tasting.
think we need to
could
do
do a
a
taste, a
tropical-
pairing. a
You
pairing.
definitely have to fly her to taste it though. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we do a tropical lasagna that's not really it's a dessert lasagna, but maybe
Okay, what's the
What?
weirdest things that you guys would think? Give me ideas. Like, what are the
in
weirdest
lasagna?
things you could put in lasagna?
Well, have you done the pineapple? That's what I was thinking because you're in Hawaii.
No, but that would be good. All right, tropical
poi,
lasagna with
a poi
pineapple.
lasagna, spam. Like spam's big in Hawaii. I'm just
It is
thinking
very
Hawaii.
big.
Yeah, spam poi. I don't know. I honestly was just thinking about like a dessert lasagna, something that would go well with a Mai Tai.
Chocolate.
I made a tiramisu lasagna.
Oh,
yeah.
yum. You had me
It
at
was just
tiramisu.
interesting. I used lasagna noodles because I was trying to make it lasagna but tiramisu ingredients. So I mixed the ricotta with like the espresso and the cheese and the sugar and all of that. But I still it was interesting. It was interesting.
Have you done the Impossible Burger kind of lasagna? I'm sure you've done the
haven't,
vegan.
no. I bet it would be good though. I know we have a lot of volunteers who've cooked with like the vegan meats.
Interesting. We'll try
Well,
that one out
there's
next.
so much more to come, and this is to be continued because Karina and I are going to go fly after we leave Orlando and after our spouses and children allow us to leave again. We're gonna go to Maui because we're very constricted.
Yeah, a special trip to see Rhiannon and enjoy some
Thank you.
lasagna.
Okay, let's do
Anytime.
it, girl.
Oh, we got to ask you to say 2 words before we leave.
Okay.
And that's
what I say?
just
So easy.
kick it
Kick it
No.
every day. No,
with feeling.
with feeling.
Kick it. Let's kick it.
Kick it.
Yeah.
Woo!
Woo! We
Love
you.
it.
Amazing.
Thank
Woo-hoo-hoo.
you, Rhiannon, for
Thank
joining
you,
us today.
guys. Oh, you're wonderful.
Amazing. Thank
I'll see you in Maui soon.
You will. I'm running away from home after this. Okay.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Mediacasters. You can keep this conversation going and kick it with Karina and Jules in live office hours each week. Visit themediacasters.mn.co to sign up. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe whenever you listen. Let's kick it.